Another good bet is that this season, this off season, this training camp, Grady Jarrett is going to refer to iron sharpens iron. I can't think of a time when we've gone up to Flowery Branch and he has not mentioned that or referenced it in some way. And basically, what he's saying is, hey, when you get the best, then that's going to prepare you and help you to elevate your game, right? And reports coming out of Flowery Branch that we've seen personally and that we've heard about is that competitiveness, right? Maybe one of the most talked about stories so far, that competitiveness that Clark Phillips III and Drake London are bringing back from their days in the Pac-12. So that got me to thinking about iron sharpening iron, because we've heard as well some of the O linemen talking about their excitement about going up against the new D linemen to see just where they are in their process. Who can you think of, or what position battle on both sides of the ball where you could see iron sharpening iron? Where would that be for you?
Oh, for me, like the first name that comes to mind is Matthew Bergeron. Because here's why. Because Matt Hennessy, obviously he's day to day, so he's kind of dealing with some things. So the Falcons, it's off season. They're not going to give you a full injury report, or and kind of give you some time of when exactly he's going to come back. So hey, they're going to kind of play that thing out that way. But as far as Matthew Bergeron is concerned, here's the difference. He's going to be going up against David Onyemata and Grady Jarrett. So that's a whole new level of iron and sharper iron, because here's the thing. Like, what better D-tackle combo will he face this year? Now, I know that we talked about on this show plenty of times last year, Mr. Number 95 up there in Carolina, he had some all-pro type games against Derek Brown. He had some all-pro type games against the Falcons last year. So it will behoove him to, get that good experience of going up against some guys, the top level guys in the league as far as in the interior rush, because they're going to give him a good picture of what it looks like to slide from that left tackle spot down into that left guard spot, because, hey, those guys are going to be on you as soon as that ball is snapping. You're going to figure out what you're going to do really quickly, T. So, yeah, that's the first one that comes to mind, Matthew Bergeron versus Grady Jarrett and or David Onyemata.
Yep, that's exactly where I was going, because interestingly enough, and we still believe that Matthew Bergeron is probably going to be your LG1 come opening day, right? But this situation, as Matt Hennessy is dealing with that injury, now kind of may speed that up a little bit, meaning we'll see more reps as they get closer to their first preseason game. And then we'll probably see those reps in the preseason game as well. I think that, to me, is, I would have to agree with you, like 100%. That is the battle that I'm looking for, because now Grady Jarrett has a partner. So it's like we get to see the iron both ways, right? Like, this way, will Matthew Bergeron going up against Grady and David Onyemata, will that sharpen him and get him, I'm going to use Bijan Robinson's word, get the game to slow down for him that much quicker? And then Grady Jarrett, it's going to be iron sharpening iron, because you got Onyemata over there with you, right? Yeah. So, I really like that concept of what he talks about all the time, what Grady talks about, and kind of looking at where those battles are really sharpening what we're seeing on the field each and every day. Now, the other thing that I was thinking about was this. The Falcons really kind of had a reputation these first two seasons, the first two under Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot, of being a team that had to go with 1-year prove-it deals, right? Because, hey, when you don't have money, that's what you got to do. But you look at each year, there was actually success in one way or another. I think Cordero Patterson is probably your most successful short-term deal, right? Because you saw what he did in his first year, but man, did he break it out in his second year.
Revitalize his career.
Shoot. Exactly. Like, this is exactly like had the best stretch, and will probably continue to have the best stretch of his career, because now some of that load will be taken off. But he's a good example on the offensive side, if not the whole team, the best short-term deal. I say Lorenzo Carter because you were good enough for him to bring back, and they gave you a prove-it deal. So now we're in a season where the Falcons don't necessarily have as many prove-it deals, but there are some out there. So who do you feel like is that person this year, that guy, that dude, who will either you expect to have that success and maybe put themselves in position to be brought back to, or that you feel needs to have that success?
Wow. Oh, I'm talking about, it has to be Bud Dupree for me.
Me too.
Because here's the thing. Like, because we know that was the Falcons' biggest need to my hour.
Yeah.
I'm speaking French anyway. But that was the Falcons' biggest need. Like for me, and I know we talked about like how they should have gone a little bit more heavy in defensively, specifically in the first round. When you're talking about bringing in that necessary help that's going to be able to help you right away. So
Exactly.
they, instead of going that route, they went the whole veteran route. So
Yep.
you go out and bring back Lorenzo Carter. All right, cool, okay. But you bring in a guy like Bud Dupree who has done it. Like he has gotten the double-digit sacks. And I think that when you have a guy in this stage of his career, I'm sure that he want to at least get another solid, contract because the guy's gotten some big contracts. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think he had a 5-year, $82 million deal with the Titans, and Arthur Smith was around for that. So he understands what Bud Dupree brings to the table. So right now, I'm looking at Bud Dupree like, hey man, like there's nobody who has more to prove than you, sir. Yeah. Because here's the thing, like he can get a contract because who are the Falcons paying outside of Grady Jarrett? You got David Onyemata, then of course you got Jesse Bates or whatever. Right. But as far as upfront edge rushers, guys coming down the pipeline, like Arnie Ebiketie is on a rookie deal. So, you got D'Angelo Malone. Who knows if he's going to even rush this year? Right. You know what I'm saying? Given how he's been looking out there. So I think right now, Bud Dupree has a chance to establish himself as the other guy. Hopefully, if Arnie Ebiketie, gets his stuff together. So, I feel like he has much to prove to not only the Falcons but to himself as well to try to see at least get one more good deal before he bows out.
And I'm glad you said that because I would go with Bud Dupree, but I could also give a little bit of a cosign, albeit a different kind of deal in a different situation of how the Falcons got Jeff Okudah. But you might as well call Okudah. Yeah. You might as well call that and prove it.
Yeah, he has 1 year left on his contract.
Exactly. So I'm you're in improvement mode because your 5th year option
did not get picked up.
Exactly. Yep. So I think that he's also in that space, but I love something that he said just yesterday, Jarvis, and it took me back to something Jerry Gray told me probably a month and a half ago when we first had an opportunity to meet this new coaching staff. So yesterday, Okudah was talking about the fact that he really likes Jerry Gray because Jerry Gray knows how to coach each individual and coach them to their strengths. And that's what he's looking forward to. Now, take it back 6 weeks. And that's exactly what Jerry Gray said when he was smiling when I asked him about Jeff Okudah, and he said,
"Let me get my hands on him."
Yeah, wait. Like I want to get him back to his Ohio State days. Yeah. And when a coach is excited, like genuinely chomping at the bit, because he really believes he can do it. And I call him the DB whisperer anyway. So indeed. I think there's every opportunity for Jeff Okudah, barring any injury, to show that he's that 1 year prove it guy that he will give the Falcons serious pause on allowing him to walk out the door. I think he could be that guy as well. Now, here was an interesting comment as we wrap up coming out of Flowery Branch just today. Arthur Blank had an opportunity to speak with the media. And I want to give you the quote that all of our colleagues put out there because I thought it was very intriguing based on our conversation just yesterday about pressure. Quote, "This is the 3rd year of a 3-year plan. What I see that I like a lot is that Coach Smith and Terry laid out a thoughtful and methodical plan. They've been very disciplined. I think we are moving in the right direction. I expect our team to be even more competitive." Now, if you plan for this moment, it's just like we said yesterday. Is there really any pressure, Jarvis?
No, not to be honest with you, because here's the thing. Like, they got hired for a reason, and this is coming from the man who hired them. They laid out a plan saying, hey, here's what we expect to do. Here's your situation. Here's what your salary cap looks like.
Yes.
Here's the real. Like, we're going to have to get rid of some folks. Right. And we're going to have to move on from some people that you absolutely loved as human beings and probably as a son as well, and Matt Ryan. So all of those things come into play when you have a solid plan, a solid foundation. Say, here's how not only we know we're going to tell you how we're going to do. We're going to do it well. We're going to do well and win some games. But the fact that they laid it out and from a financial standpoint and from a culture standpoint, that's the part that that Arthur Blank believed and that's why he believes in. So if you have a plan as to how to fix a disaster, so to speak, or salary cap hell, you got a plan for how to get out of it.
Yeah.
The easy part is executing after that because that's the hard part, like making those decisions. who to bring in, what 1 year deal guys you need to bring in, and what 1 year deal guys, once you have money and you spent it, do you need to bring in, like we just talked about with a guy like Jeff Okuda and Bud Dupree. Once you bring those guys in to help beef up that roster even more so, once you spend that money on that exceptional talent, those are some of the things that I feel like they take away the pressure from me. Because if you have a plan and you know how to execute it,
Right.
there ain't no pressure. It's just a matter of them just going out there and playing ball, because that's the easy part, right? Like, because you ask any former player, T, like nobody likes practice. Like if somebody say they like practice, they probably Michael Jordan or somebody like great or something like that, or they just not any good or whatever. But if you talking about what we actually want to do, if I can just play games, true enough, everybody else will say yes. Yeah, I want to play. I want to get to the games, and now we're at the game part. Like here we're at the game part right now in this playing. So I think that we're going to be in for something really special because, like you said, the owner understands it, he gets it, and he understands the execution of it. And I think that Arthur Smith wholeheartedly believes it as well.
Yeah, and I wanted to kind of go back to two words that he used: thoughtful and methodical plan. Because when we were all kind of postulating about where they were going to go in the draft, and then maybe 1 or 2 days before the actual draft, we started hearing buzz about Bijan Robinson being their pick. And we were like, oh no, not another offensive skill player. No. But as you saw the rest of their picks, how they went up to get Matthew Bergeron. So they were getting the type of help that Desmond Ridder would need and getting some help in the DB room in Clark Phillips III. That's when you started to say to yourself, and even to Zach Harrison, oh, okay, we see how you're going about it. You did go and get an O-lineman from the draft, which is basically where you go and get your best O-lineman. You got to draft them and then cultivate, right? And then on the defensive side of the ball, you went and kind of got a mix. You got some veterans that are coming into their own, like a Caden Ellis, a Jesse Bates III, who are continuing to come in their own. And you got some that may be in the twilight, but still got a little bit left in the tank, like a Calais Campbell. So that to me is thoughtful and methodical, because you had a part A to that plan, you had a part B to that plan. And now, like you're saying, it's time to just wait for the opportunity to execute. So what do you guys think? I mean, who do you guys think is that 1 year prove it guy that you say, hey, he needs to be successful, but I expect him to be successful to give the Falcons some pause on possibly bringing him back? And of course, iron sharpens iron. We told you guys a couple of matchups that we like. What do you like? You can let us know, right? Go to YouTube like you always do. Check us out. And don't forget to put a comment in the chat, because, hey, we may mention it right here on our broadcast. And again, wherever you download your podcast, make sure you download ATL Day Ones too.